Up north, meaning like where more? Okay. California's got some beautiful stuff. Beautiful environment when it's not burning up. You're right. Or the ground is shaking. So I'm a little bit surprised that a lot of people did not come to the trade room last night. Pretty surprised. CPI, consumer prices. Those are the reports you want to watch and trade. The market's looking at them. Excuse me. We're going to start in a minute. I guess it only takes one, David. One big one. As Randy Newman says, let's drop the big one now. I should not read local news on my phone. It's just filled with robberies and guns and home invasions. It's a never-ending plethora of horrifying crime. It's unbelievable. My local citizen app, it's just incredible. All right, folks, let's get our streaming going. All right, welcome everybody to CB Consumer Confidence, Richmond Manufacturing. This is the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Okay, so David is asking me where I am from. So where I am right now is I'm staying in my daughter's house in Philadelphia. I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. But I have to say, I like Philly. It's a great city. Love the Eagles, love the Phils. It's a great sports town, but it's very, very challenged in terms of this tremendous crime. And the pandemic has worsened everything. Absolutely everything is much worse. And riots have hurt Center City. Philly has a lot of challenges, but tremendous amount of building and construction and homes being built. There's a lot of real positives, I think it's very similar to probably many, many cities. Cities struggle. But I like where I live. I'm going to make some videos if I'm alive. I think I have Omicron, but hold on 1 second. Hang on. Who knows what the incubation period is for Omicron? That's what I need to know. What's the incubation period? Is it 3 days, 5 days? I want to welcome everybody. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching our stream. 2 to 3 days. Dr. Chantal. All right. So let me call Joe Rogan. Hold on. I'm going to call Joe. All right. We are looking at CB Consumer Confidence. It's also got Richmond Manufacturing. And let's talk about, but first, let me just remind everybody the best way, you got to be thinking all the time if you want to trade news and give yourself the best opportunity to make money. So I was saying, I was surprised that the trade room participation was low last night for the Australia CPI report. Now, I didn't call it a family money trade because the first month of the year, I'm really in a watching mode. That's why there haven't been hardly any family money trades. I'm not going away from them. I'm just getting our bearings, if you understand. First month of the year is very important. But anytime there's a report that's dealing with consumer prices, producer prices, you really should make it your business to be trading those reports if there's a good possibility for profit. And on many of them, there are. So people missed a great trade last night on Australia. And it was easy, no pressure, and it was a great trade. And make sure that you start watching the weekly schedule video, because I'm going to give more of a heads up than I used to. I don't think a lot of people are watching the video that I make. In other words, I make a video of the schedule, but I'm going to try and give more tips while I make that video, rather than just making a simple video of the schedule, just announcing what everything is. I'm going to try and give more tips so that you have a good idea which trade rooms and which reports you might want to trade, even if I'm not around. Because the European trades, yes, TJ had a great trade last night. He made more than me. But the European trades overnight on yesterday both of them were target one winners, and they went far beyond target one, and they're going to start behaving better again, I believe, as well. So, but I mentioned that on the video that they were tradable tradable reports, especially if you live overseas and you're not, East Coast time. It's very hard to get up at 3 a.m. It's too difficult. So, now you look at, I have to come into the room and deal with CB Consumer Confidence. CB Consumer Confidence is a report that is a coin toss, even though if you look at the DMM, it's a little bit deceptive. And let me explain why. Now, we've been testing. I did so much testing on this report. I wish that I could tell you that I have a great setup, but all of my testing pretty much just solidifies that the alternative tests, which would be the trap trade, gold and the ES, are coin tosses, unfortunately. They're not steady. They're good, but not great. The breakouts have been better as of late, but you got to realize the last breakout is October. That's months ago, okay? Months ago. And the reason for that is the November trade was a Thanksgiving holiday trade, and the December trade was Christmas. Now, I do have the November trade because we had a trade room because we were here. I still think that there is movement. There's potential movement on this report. The issue is it's been inconsistent. That's the issue. So I was up $65 before the report. So that's important to realize. And in November, and it was, like I said, it was around Thanksgiving holiday. So there was no DMM issued. If it's like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or the Friday after, it wouldn't have been the Friday after, because I don't remember if the markets were closed that day this year, but we wouldn't trade Black Friday. We don't have a trade room usually on Black Friday. But you could see, so it hit target one in November. and then it pulls back. I protected the profit and it pulled back. So here's the move, just watch. It just wasn't a powerful move. So it looks like it hits the first target at the high, was the second target. So it might have hit, it looks like if you waited, it would have hit the second target. That's what it looks like to me. So it wasn't bad in November, but it doesn't truly count as a test because it was Thanksgiving. Volume is different, liquidity is different. So it's not a true, honest test of this report. And then I do have November's test. So let's take a look at that. So I do a lot of testing in January, looking at alternatives, looking at different setups. So this was October. We were testing the trap trade in October. That's one of my alternative tests. So it was a nice move in October. And it was a pretty good news offset. And it also traded with new home sales. New home sales can move the market. It can. We've never had a DMM for new home sales because, again, it's another one of those, a lot of inconsistent reports lately. A lot of inconsistent reports. There is no harm in trading 7 times a month. And that's the honest truth. What if you trade 7 times a month and you have 5 great, fantastic winners? Or 10 times a month, right? So what would I do? Would I trade my family's money on CB Consumer Confidence? I wouldn't. Okay, not right now. Even though the DMM looks good, it looks way better than it is. It looks way better than it is because we don't really know how it is right now. It's old news. The report is much older news than most because of the holidays. Because of the holidays. Now, so I've got 2 setups. It's sort of my job to, if it's a reasonable report that looks like it's been working, then I have to decide, well, how much risk do we want to take? Now, last night, we had a nice trade on Australia. So I'm not dying to give it all back on a trade that if I was alone in my office trading my family's money, I wouldn't be trading this, not as a breakout, okay? I'm testing the trap on the ES because it's interesting. It really is interesting. The problem with it is that it's been a coin toss. That's the problem. It's been a coin toss, okay? It's worked 50-50. So we'll see how it does today. I think it seems to have potential as a gold trap. It seems to be stronger as an ES trap. That's what's interesting. But I'm not crazy about trading the ES at 10 o'clock. It's like the NQ. It's moving for other reasons besides news. So I'd rather see consumer confidence just work in general as a good report, as a good report. The interesting thing, the one thing that might be good is gold is very flat this morning. So the news might give us a real actual news trade. I forget which trade we traded last week. It might have been that we didn't trade live, but we said for sure this is going to be a momentum, a trend trade in the direction of gold, because at the time of the trade, gold was bursting. And that's exactly what happened. It traded in the direction of gold. It didn't matter what the news was. This is not that type of trade this morning. So let me set up the trap trade, which is a test. I'm not trading the trap live. But my ES trap trade settings are tiers, which are the orders above and below the price, orders of 4 ticks and 8 ticks, tiers of 4 and 8, with a stop of 10. Okay. I've got a cough for the last day. It's driving me crazy. So the thing to realize about the trap, and I am getting these relabeled. So it says entry time. It'll say time of trade. The time or time of report. The time of the report is 10 o'clock. Okay. And that's important. You need to, it's always the time of the report, entry time. And then the order prep, that's actually the activation. That's when the software puts your orders on the chart that many seconds before 10 o'clock. And I'm going to put my orders on the chart 5 seconds before my orders go on the chart. That's when my orders are going to go on the chart 5 seconds before 10 o'clock. 5 seconds before 10 o'clock. My orders tiers are going to be 4 ticks and 8 ticks. And my stop is 10 ticks. The only other thing that people need to check, depending which version of the trap trade, most people are on version 3. Stop loss position should always say last fill price. It should never say average price. I don't know why that's even in there. We've never used it in all the years I've been here. And my stop is 10 ticks. And then make sure the number of positions is the numbers of contracts you want to trade. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 2, is a 1. 1 position for each. Everything else is pretty much a default other than choosing your account. Okay. So I want to see how this works. You can get a good test of a trap trade in sim because it's a low slippage setup. It's completely different than a breakout. So look, the question is, you have a 10 tick stop. Now gold's going up because it's the open. Okay, this is the market open. That's part of the pricing that you're seeing. But we've just been witnessing a lot of gold. What's the word I'm looking for? Volatility. If gold's too volatile to trade consumer confidence, I'll pass. I made money last night. I'll make money again. I don't need to trade if the conditions are not healthy. Okay, now if that candle was a minute before the trade, that would be a canceled trade. Okay, that's almost a $10 move in gold. It went from, I mean, that's ridiculous. Okay. It makes the trade less reliable. It's like a $9 candle. Okay. So you don't necessarily, and look, the ES is moving as well. So the markets are opening. The markets were had monstrous volatility yesterday. I mean, volatility, the likes. I'm not sure I ever can remember the Dow being down 1,100 points. Maybe, excuse me, in 2008. I don't remember, honestly, if the Dow was down more than 1,000 points on days in 2008. But I don't think there's been that big of a move since then. And then it finished positive. That's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. So, depending on the size of your account, if you see the Dow down 1,000 points, why not buy the Dow with one contract with like $1,000 stop? I mean, it's such a low risk to have a great trade. I'll bet a lot of people made some money yesterday. So we're going to wait and see if the market calms down for consumer confidence. This is really the first trade. It's been 3 months. Or 2 full months since there's been a valid consumer confidence trade. So that makes it a little bit tricky. It makes it a little bit tricky. And we have to really keep an eye on gold. Gold was flat when we got here. It's now up $11. Yeah, I think, but you know what, David? You can't guess what the news is going to be. It always surprises you. My thought would be, yeah, the consumer confidence is probably bad because the news is reporting that inflation and higher prices. The economy happens to be really good still. And why they don't report that the economy is good. I mean, the economy's good. People have money and they're spending it. I mean, that's the reality. People have money and they're spending it. And yes, prices are up. And the Fed, the Fed's behind the 8 ball, but a lot of people, there's so much news chaos. I don't know if the economy is only good if you're rich. I don't know if I agree with that. I really don't. I don't think I agree. I think that the rich are controlling the world. There's no doubt about that. The super rich, they don't pay their fair share. I mean, all the stuff that they say, I think is true. And yet we don't want to do anything about anything. So I don't know that anything's ever going to change. But, the rich always have it great. The ultra rich, they always have it great. But think about it. It's everywhere. Every actor, it's their sons and daughters who are in the movies after, Donald Sutherland. It's Kiefer Sutherland now. They all groom their kids and their kids are the ones. It's all nepotism, all nepotism. I agree, David. You can't, there's plenty of people making $13 an hour and they can't feed their families. I'm not arguing that at all. So gold has calmed down, okay? Gold has calmed down. Our normal setup. So here's my feeling, folks. I don't think that this report gives us the best possibility for a winner. I just don't. It might work. I could risk 100, okay? I could risk 100, trade one contract, and look for 8 ticks. Okay, that's one strategy. I don't think this report is worth risking 200 plus slippage on because we don't know how it's going to behave. We just don't know. And it's got Richmond. Richmond is almost always late. Okay. Richmond is almost always late. If I was, like I said, if I was alone, I wouldn't trade it. I don't think it offers enough profit opportunity. It's not, for me, it's not a family money trade. It's not close to a family money trade. So I'm going to risk one contract because we need to see what's going on with this report. We'll go for 10 ticks. If it does a quick reversal, it will, we won't make money. But if we get an opportunity to grab some of the ticks, then I'll probably slide my stop up. Okay. We'll go for 10 ticks. And I just wanted to remind everybody before I forget, you can still come to our earnings classes. Okay. So don't forget. And you can buy the earnings workshop for only 47 bucks. There's still a whole bunch of classes and rooms, trade rooms. Okay. And if you're watching on YouTube, www.tradeearningsnow.com for 47 bucks. You can buy our earnings workshop and then bump it up and come into our earnings trade rooms. All right. So one contract is all I'm really willing to risk. If this report's working, then fine. We'll make our $80, $70, $100. But I don't want to risk 200 on it. I just don't feel that we know yet how this report is. I think going forward, it may be better as a trap trade. That's what I think. I think the trap trade is very promising on this report. I really do. It looks promising. Even though my testing was mostly 50-50, it still looks promising, and I like the way it looks. I like the way it trades on the trap trade. And the gold setup is not bad either. There's a gold setup. But right now we're still on a breakout on this report. So I'm going to look for one position, just 10 ticks, risking 10 ticks. The entry time is 9:59:59. It's a 20-second cancel. So I'm going to risk giving back some money. And I am recording, and we do want to check. So the market's not real happy again right now. They're not real happy. I'm going to check my time sync by going to the website time.is. Okay. Puts me right in sync. Right in sync. So now what's good is that gold is consolidating. Okay. You're not getting burnt. Well, we'll see. We'll see in the next minute or two. I mean, honestly, folks, that candle, it was 15 minutes before the report. 15 minutes before the report. But I think that there's risk. I think there's extra risk this morning because of the markets yesterday. It affects the markets today. Trading right now is extremely volatile. There's a lot of volatility. So we have an ES trap that we're testing, okay? A gold breakout. A gold breakout. I want to look at, it's a 7-tick bracket. And then we will be back. Our next room after this is Microsoft earnings in GoToWebinar. Okay. Make sure you check your email for the GoToWebinar link. Okay. We're doing API and earnings in the GoToWebinar room today. All earnings reports will be in the GoToWebinar room. All right. So there's a lot of people here now. I don't understand why there weren't a lot of people in the room last night when people are out of work. People, a lot of people are out of work at 7 o'clock at night, Eastern time. So I'm a little bit surprised that people didn't come to the trade room last night. Not a lot. There were some, but not as many as I thought would come. So I recommend if you see a consumer price report, reports that are inflationary are getting a lot of attention. And that's one of the reasons I really believe that Australia report worked so well last night. And we upped our targets on that report. I really thought it was going to move. It's a quarterly report also. Quarterly reports have that possibility. It's like on the DMM, it says it's like water behind a dam. the movement builds up, builds up, builds up over time. Sometimes it's very nice. Quarterly reports. Well, I wonder, so the Golden Gate Bridge, how old is the Golden Gate Bridge? Is old. So in theory, it's a 20-second cancel. My prediction is the Richmond news will be late. It has a history of either being late or early. It does not often release on time. That's the crazy thing about Richmond. Now, look, you've got fairly normal price action before a report. So even with that crazy candle, it seems okay to trade, okay? Now, one of the issues that you're dealing with is you're dealing with a new high and a normal pullback, right? What happens after a new high? Very often you get a pullback. And then you get another test. Am I trading earnings smarter today, Mark? Define smarter. Define smarter. In all seriousness, define smarter. I'm listening. All right, my brackets are going to show up in a couple of seconds here. Now, the trap trade filled early on the ES. That's a problem. And it filled early. I closed my trade. It filled. So I saw it fill early. I made a tiny profit. I didn't like that it filled too soon. The news did come out, okay? The news was a little positive. I got filled long, all right? I got filled long. The trap trade, let's look at the video because it looks like the trap worked. I don't think it's a valid trade because it filled before the news. Look at this was a troubled candle for the trade. We got filled long. I closed the trade in a teeny profit because I felt that the news was early. Let's take a look. I might have been wrong, but I don't really care, in all honesty. Let's see what happened. I made one tick, okay? I got long at 60. I closed at 70. I felt that the report that I got filled too soon for the news. That was my reason for doing what I did. That was my reason for doing what I did. Yeah, I am going to do that, Mark. Less contracts, bigger stop. Absolutely. I don't think it's going to matter that much with Intel. So this would have been a stop out if I stayed in the trade, folks. It was 100% a stop out. It filled me long and pulled down. All right. Should it have been a down trade? I think yes, because in theory, well, you had conflicting news, you had a bad manufacturing report, and you had a good consumer confidence report. David, see what I mean? You can't ever figure out what that's going to be, what the report's going to be. I think there's a couple of issues. Let's look at the video for a couple of problem issues on our setups that I think I don't totally agree with my boss, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. I think that our brackets in general are too small on these reports. They're just too small. Now, shoot, look at this. Look at this trade ES going the same way as gold, making gold extremely challenging, right, to trade. The ES, let's look at the video. Let me render it. It takes 1 second. 1 second. So this is CB. So this is an inconsistent trade, folks. The reality is I was prepared to jump out of this trade in a second because I don't like the trade. I don't want to give my money back when we struggle so hard to make money. It's hard to make money. It's the nature of the markets. The markets want to take your money. So I'm not dying to give back money. And this trade, I was concerned about it to begin with. So what happened was, regardless of anything, we got filled on the wrong side. Filled on the wrong side. And let's watch. I thought I was filled before the news. So let's see if I'm wrong. If we can tell. Let's see if we can tell. I didn't hear the news in my earpiece, okay, this morning with Financial Juice Pro. That doesn't mean they were late. It just, at the exact time that I was filled, they hadn't reported it yet. So let's see if we can tell. So I'm filled. I'm filled before the news. Okay, and that's what I saw. And that's what I didn't like. Now you can see it's very hard to tell right there. That's the proof. I'm filled. The ES trap trade was filled. And I didn't like that. Yes, Richmond was out. And I said that Richmond looks like it was actually a tiny bit early. But I warned everybody, Richmond is never on time. But I don't want to be filled in a consumer confidence report early. I was filled early. That's what I thought I saw. And I jumped out of the trade, especially because I saw a profit. Yes, Jody, the ES. Now, what's awesome. So here's what I'm learning about the current trap trades, though. Here's what I'm learning from my testing. And it seems to be bearing fruit live. Even getting filled early on a trap trade, it doesn't matter that much because these trades are so darn volatile. That's what we want out of the trade. We just want the volatility. It's not that big a deal sometimes if you get filled early because they're changing direction so often. Okay, so this jolted down first. Okay, but it was this was a miracle trade that it might not work. It might not have worked live. I'm telling you the truth because of the way it behaved. It touched multiple. Okay, so what's fascinating is you can see it goes through the orders. My darn brackets were too narrow, so it's hard to see what happened. It shoots down first, okay? And you can see it puts an order in, and then it hits the second tier, and then it reverses and goes up. But it filled early also. It filled early also. Watch. The trap trade was filled way before 10 o'clock, couple of seconds. So we may have to think about, it might be a 1 second prep. If you follow, put the orders on the chart 1 second before the news. Watch the left side again, and you'll see what I mean about the bracket. A 7 bracket was not enough. Chantal, can you analyze what bracket would have been safe in this report? Would a 10 bracket had been safe this morning? It looks like it went to 80 and it filled me on 60, okay? And my bracket was 7. So a 10 would have been a fill. $60 is the price, okay, where I was filled. That was 7 ticks. It's 2 ticks above that, meaning it went 9 and it went 10. A 10 would not have been safe. You could see it. It jumped up. It jumped up. So this trade wouldn't have worked as a breakout. That's the reality. It would not have worked as a breakout even with a bigger bracket. The trap on the ES looked like it had a possibility. There was a lot of orders that were close on both sides, that the reason I'm not saying it definitively is if you don't trade, sometimes when you're not live and orders are not filled in sim, it's not the same reaction as what happens live. What's interesting, so I made $10, okay, covered most of my expenses. I didn't like being filled early, so I jumped out. It's just that simple. That's what I did. All right. That's the reason I did what I did. The move was down on the news. I mean, is this a news move? Let's look at the video one more time. I'm not 100% believing that this was a CB consumer confidence move. I'm not sure gold would have been a very good trap. I don't think it would have filled 2 tiers. It's easy to test. If people want to stick around, I'll show you how to test the trap. It's easy. So it goes up about 10 to 12 ticks and then reverses. It goes up 10 to 12 ticks and reverses from current price, from when we put our orders on the chart. It really, to me, does not look like a real news event. It looks more like a market trading gold. That's what it looks like. But I'm not sure anymore these days because reactions to the news are so strange. They're very strange. Now, this particular report, you had a really good signal to take a short. You had a good signal to take a short. You can always use that high of the day as your stop also. But gold wasn't trending in the short direction. So it was not an easy trade to make. Not an easy trade to make. The only thing you had going was a crazy candle bursting to a new high, which is a high probability short, would work there. Okay. Just from an idea perspective there. Now, to me, the ES at 10 o'clock is just not a good index to trade news at 10 o'clock. You don't get news moves. You get market moves because there's a lot of people that trade 30-minute breakouts after the market opens. It just is a fact of life. There are a lot of people that trade that way. So let's say you want to test my gold bracket trade. If people want to spend 5 minutes, I'll show you how to do it and I'll record it. How do you test a gold trap trade, not a bracket trade? So let me record it. Give me a second. And it's real good education. And it's real easy to do. So here's what you do. Give me a second. I think the most important thing that you could learn, besides knowing how to trade, right? It doesn't want to find my mic, so I'll just have to do my best, folks. Do my best. So listen carefully. Here we go. So in order to test the trap trade, you got to download today's replay data. So disconnect live. Then download the replay data. Go to Tools, Historical Data. When you go to Historical Data, you very simply click Market Replay, click Load, get Market Replay, put the date on today. It's the 25th. And if you want to test the trap trade on gold's contract, GC 222, it's not complicated. Download the data, GC 222. Bingo, it's downloaded. Now connect playback. Okay, connect your playback connection. And my playback is fixed. Ninja came on my computer. There's one little tiny bug in playback, but overall my playback is working great. So now I'm going to put my chart on the gold contract that I want to trade. And these 2 boxes need to be set to today's date, 125. So just set them. Okay, put the date. Make sure it's AM. Also, and I'll show you what I mean. So both of them are 125. In this blank space, right click, go to, when it lets you, it takes a second, and put the time like 10 seconds before you're going to trade. Give yourself 10 seconds. So 9:15, 9:59:50 is roughly 10 seconds before we're going to trade. Now, with a trap trade, sometimes you'll put your orders on 10 seconds before the market opens. So maybe what you should do is 9:59 and 45 seconds, and make sure it's AM if you're AM, PM if you're PM. Okay, so you set your time. Now, what Ninja's going to do, because it has a bug, the bug in Ninja has to do with time. When you start your first replay, watch, it's going to set the time to 12 AM. So just put your time back in. You have to do it twice. It's a bug in Ninja. I'm bugging them to fix it. So remember, 9:59:45. We're 15 seconds before we're going to get ready to trade this report. Okay, so our replay is set up. Okay, give it a second. Okay, so now just put the strategy on as if it's a live, real market. So my gold setup for the trap trade, okay, my gold setup for the trap trade is tiers of 8 and 14, okay, 8 and 14. It's a 10 o'clock trade, and it's a preparation time. My orders are going to go on the chart 5 seconds before the news, okay, 5 seconds before the report. Tiers of 8 and 14, an entry time of 10 o'clock. That's when the trade news is released. That's what that means. My orders go on the chart 5 seconds before 10 o'clock. Prep 5 seconds. And don't forget to set your stop. My stop is 15 ticks. Everything else stays. Okay, you make sure your position size is 1 and 1, 2 contracts. Everything else is default. Apply it, okay it, enable it. Okay. I didn't download the ES, so we're not going to see the ES. So now we have a trap trade that when we press play, our trade's going to take place. So we're testing gold. Our orders are going to show up on the chart 5 seconds before the news comes out. This is the clock we're using, the replay clock. Okay, 5 seconds seems safe. The news comes out, it shoots up, it fills one tier and reverses. Now we know that the price didn't continue, so close your outer tier. Cancel outer tier. You would not know that normally. You would give it, I give trap trades a minute or so. Maybe the price is going to go back up and fill that second order. We know today it's not, because the price went up a little and then it went down. Okay, so cancel the outer tier. And now just wait, and there's your profit. It was a perfect trap trade. It would have been a perfect trap trade. I personally think that CB consumer confidence should be a trap trade. That's what I think. Even though it was 50-50, it's now better than 50-50. And I'm going to petition my boss and insist on it. That's the truth, because it's not, it looks like the DMMs are working, but they're not. They're not. Today was our first DMM in almost 3 months, and it stunk. Okay, it didn't work. Did not work. The ES looked interesting. I think gold is actually better. It's more honest, because it's actually an index that in its inconsistency is consistent on a trap trade. I know that sounds crazy, but in its inconsistency, it's consistent on a trap trade. So any questions? All right. Any questions? Any questions? We'll be back. We'll be back at 3:30 in the GoToWebinar room. For folks that are watching me on YouTube, thank you so much. You can go to www.tradeearningsnow.com. www.tradeearningsnow.com, and for $47 you can sign up for our earnings workshop. You can get our earnings workshop class And then you can bump it up and come to our trade rooms, okay? Because we're not streaming them for free. So thanks on YouTube. Like us, sign up for the channel, hit the notification bell. You'll know the next time we are streaming. And everybody else, I'll see you all in the trade room. Go to webinar at 3:30, okay? I'll see everybody at 3:30. So I did the right thing this morning by jumping out of that trade. I didn't like that it got filled early, all right? That unnerved me. It turned out to be a big saver of the account. It saved me $100. I was risking 10 ticks. It saved me those ticks, okay? Jody, I'm looking for ES trades, I swear, just for you. I'm not joking. You can, Jody, if you learn the trap trade technology, you can trade this trade with the ES if you want. I like gold better on it, but if you really love trading the ES, I've done a fair amount of testing, and I'm trying to test the ES whenever it's appropriate. Okay. All right, folks. I'll see everybody this afternoon, late afternoon, 3:30. Always something to learn.